Hello, everybody. Hi. It's Georgia on Live with Georgia. Hello, how are you? Georgiamarantos. This is Saturday night and we are live. I will be answering questions, reading the tarot. So if you have a burning question, it's $10 and all the links to pay for a reading are in the description below. Hi, everybody who's here. I can see 2 people are on. Hi, let me know that you're here. Let me know who you are and we can start chatting. I especially love the people that, Colleen, hello, we were just texting. Colleen is one of the people who has signed up for my upcoming Learn to Read the Tarot online play shop in November, on November 14th. And I am so excited, Colleen. Yay! Thank you, Colleen. I took like the last half an hour to try to curl my hair, and I think I've succeeded in some parts, but there's little wild bits that won't behave, but that's okay. I got to tell you, it's like I'm sitting at the I'm sitting at my desk, and I have the computer here, and I'm trying to center this incredibly beautiful tanka, which is the Tibetan Wheel of Life. And it's relevant today because we're going to be talking about the Wheel of Fortune. And I'm very excited to be talking about the Wheel of Fortune, which is the number 10 trump, right? And I use the word Trump today because, as you all know, the president is coming up for either re-election or moving on, and there may or may not be a new president. And so the Wheel of Fortune, I think, is really pertinent in these times, especially given that we've been through so much in this year, 2020 already. So very, very interesting, very, very fascinating, because this is the number 10. We're about halfway through the major arcana. When you think about it, there's 20, hang on, I've got to think about it. There are 20, what's wrong with me? There's 22 cards. Like, is it 21 or 22? There's 22. Hi, Linda. How are you? Karina, hello. Thank you. Karina also just registered. Thank you so much. We have, I limited the online tarot workshop that's coming up November 14 to 8 people. And I really wanted a small, intimate group so that we could, on Zoom, have a real sort of to and fro and have enough time for practicing with one another and really kind of, we won't have enough time to really learn each card in depth, but we'll be able to have at least a quick description that you'll be able to refer to when you're practicing and reading. And I wanted to have enough time for us to practice together, because I really feel that, practice makes you more adept and gives you sort of more, gives you a better hold of the language, makes you feel more confident when you want to read the cards. And so it's learning a new language, and it's like learning any language. The more you practice it, the more adept you are at it. So Karina, yay, Colleen, yeah, I'm super excited to for everybody who's coming on. And also the fact that on these lives, we're learning how to read the tarot. I mean, every week that we get to do a trump, that we get to do a major card, a major arcana card, we're really living the archetype. We're really learning about the archetype. And I've looked over some of the videos, and there's always a weave of the major arcana that we're talking about through the hour show. So today, the Wheel of Fortune. So get ready. Get ready, friends. The Wheel of Fortune is a big card. Talks basically about one's placement in life and how one can direct oneself in life, and whether you're going up the wheel or down the wheel. And I mean, it's just so rich. It's such a spiritual card, really, just on its own right, because everybody's sitting in the clouds and there's this coin in the middle of the air. Anyway, enough about the card now. Tonight, all proceeds, 30% of proceeds go to Rainforest Flow. If you want to learn more about the charity that we chose 2 months ago now, almost, please go to rainforestflow.org. And Nancy Santullo, who heads the organization, the nonprofit, posts a lot on social media, and you'll become familiar with the good work that she does. And I'm super happy that we kept going for another month, because we've really collected quite a bit thus far. And I'm kind of keeping it secret how much we get to collect by the end of this month. And in fact, next week will be the last week that we have. So that's October 24th will be the last week that we get to sort of, collect as much money for the charity as possible by doing more readings. So for the hour and a half, the 90 minutes that we're together, I'm just going to be doing readings next week. And and then we'll be choosing a new charity for the following month. So if you have a charity that's close to your heart and you'd really love to be sending money and supporting a charity that you love, let me know either by email, or you could actually make a comment here, or come on the night, come next Saturday night and make a comment, and we raffle off the different charities and we pick one. So it's very exciting. Yay, wonderful. So does anybody have a question? I'm here. The cards are ready. We are here. Oh, yes, Karina, you're so on it. All right. Karina, you don't have your own deck, but very soon you'll be getting one. And I know that given that we're here together and everyone here is highly intuitive, I know Linda is a More Truth Will Set You Free teacher, a Rising Star initiation teacher. And I mean, there's just so much good energy here. And I'm so excited that we're here together, because together we create, I think, a really safe, potent energy for change. And I feel that that's what the tarot does, right? I feel that the tarot gives one the potential for change, simply because we can come at the tarot with questions about what's going on in our life, and the tarot can give you clarity and give you hope. And if you subscribe to my email list, you would have received an email today where I actually spoke about what makes a good reading good. And I really think it's those three things. I think it's having a certain level of accuracy in terms of being able to read the intuitive information that's coming through to you, and then having the ability to be clear, to have a sense of asking specific questions to get specific answers. So creating clarity around the questions. And then the last thing is providing hope. So I do feel that the first two things, the accuracy and the clarity, really bring through hope, which is the last one. And hope is just totally uplifting. Once you feel like whatever's been here in front of you, there's a lot of clarity, it's been cleared out, and then you have this road ahead of you, and you can sort of, I don't know, skip happily along the road of happiness moving forward, because all the sort of issues have all been cleared. And you do it little by little. I mean, that's how I do it for myself. So Karina, you're going to have a reading. I'm very happy. So just a general reading for Karina. Here we go. I've talked about this a lot, and I say this almost every week. That in a general reading, we can do past, present, future, and maybe we could do that, Karina. I think, did we do that last week for you? Or we could look at, and I think I did this with someone else, where we pick, so let's have a look at your, health, wealth, finances. So we did that. Wait a second. Health, finances, and relationships. So health, wealth, relationships. Would you like to do that, Karina? Should we look at that? Because I think last week we just did a total general. So let's do health, wealth, and relationships. Wonderful. So in your health section, here you go. You have the Page of Swords. Now, remember last about the pages, and so in your life, in your aura sit, here is Karina concerned or thinking about the health of her children. And don't we all, as mothers? I feel like sometimes that's pretty much all we think about. Are our children doing okay? And what can we do to help them? Because that's the mother's grace in some ways, that it's our job to keep them safe, and our job to make sure that they're getting the right nutrition, and so therefore it can preoccupy us. So I would say that you're actually a really good place. So this card comes to say, here are the children, and I would sort of put both of them together because they're young and they're beautiful, and one's got long hair. So this is, traditionally you'd think it's a boy, but it could also be a girl, and I know you have one of each. So in this card, how's the health of my children doing? And I would say, you know what? The skies are actually cleared, because these clouds, even though they're up near the head, I don't feel like they're overwhelming. I just don't get a sense of overwhelming. And even though there are thoughts here where you could say, oh, I wonder how that's going to go, or I wonder how this part of their health is going to go. But there's absolutely no shadow. There's no concern. There's just curiosity. There's openness. So this is a really good card, actually, around health and around your children, right? And so we said wealth. Okay, wealth, Karina. So here is the accrued wealth. And you're wondering, what do I do with this wealth? What do I do with my abundance? How do I, what's my focus? And what can I do? How can I invest this? It's almost like, and we're not talking about the physical investment of wealth. What we're talking about is it's like you're taking stock of your life thus far. And you're saying, everything that I've done up until this point, I wonder what I need to do next. I wonder what the next step is. So if this is what I've accrued, and it's a bit like the Wheel of Fortune, because I'm going to bring that up now, because this is like a big coin, right? And the big coin can obviously represent our ability to accrue abundance in life. So you've accrued your abundance, and now you're like, well, what do I now want to accrue more of? What's important to me? And you can see that there's one coin just between his feet, and he's saying, oh, now I know what I want to accrue more of. Now I know what I want to multiply. So you see there's a multiplication happening here of the coins, and what you've got here is like, oh, well, that's what this has brought me. Now what am I going to do with this? And I feel this is your spiritual path and your capacity to multiply and bring in spiritual abundance. And so that's your next step. This is where you're at. And this is your kind of your present moment. You're actually doing this now. Look at all those yeses. I'm going to take a big, so where you said yes, please, and then no, Karina, tell me what the no means so that I can, I like to feed back. Thank you. And so we said health, wealth, and relationships. And look at this for relationships, Karina. You're right in there. And here you are, and you're actually, and again, look at those little birds, right? Look at the birds. Look at the thoughts. So these are messengers from spirit. That's what we have, right? And so in relationship, I would say that there's one friend at the moment with whom you have, there's something urgent that you want to speak about. There's something that you want to say. Now, I feel that this is a personal friend. This isn't someone that you know through business or through acquaintances. This is like a personal connection, or someone that you have known for some time. And there's a sense that, now I wonder, it could be a family member, but it's not your immediate family. And so there's a sense that you want to communicate something with them. The no was before the reading. Oh, thank you so much. So I'm going to get a little bit more detail. So this might concern an institution. Isn't that interesting? So this kind of, in relationships, there's obviously a third body. So in this relationship that I was just talking about, there's actually an institution or something else involved. And maybe you're communicating better. Oh, yeah. So in terms of communication, this is a card that says, I communicate as clearly as possibly. You see how the air is pushing past the clouds, and the clouds are going very, very fast. Now, this person may not stop to think necessarily, so they're going pretty fast, much like I am now. Or what you can say is this person is actually pushing for the truth in a very, very earnest and highly motivated way. So they want the truth to be told. And here you go, the Hierophant, who is the keeper of the truth and the keeper of, the keys, so to speak. You see these keys at the bottom. So this is in a relationship. I don't know which relationship this is, but it's definitely one that you're working on, and definitely one where if you're talking about communicating and wanting to communicate the truth, it's definitely happening. And this is going to take this relationship to the next level because you're communicating truth, right? What's the outcome? You're going to be able to move forward in this relationship in a much stable, to say what I think with love. Yes. And if you can find that way, Karina, you see that? You see this capacity? It's like you're coming up, and this is the test. This is like the test that you need to take to move through the columns into the next. Once you do that, you're off, and that's for the rest of your life. You'll be able to put this into practice, and you will see how it will serve you well. Because remember the Chariot, when we studied it, the Chariot was the one who really had all the knowledge and was just so ready to have the experience to turn it into wisdom. But we know that you've already gained the wisdom by moving through here. We're always going through levels of where the Hierophant takes us, right? So the Hierophant always represents a level. So when we're younger, we hit this Hierophant level, and then we go up, and then we do some more, and then we hit the Hierophant level again, and then we go up, and we're constantly raising our vibration as we go. And so right now, what's important for you is the truth, right? It's important for you to tell the truth from an integrity point of view. And so isn't that amazing how we went from the general to the very specific? Now, I don't know which relationship, and if we were in a one-on-one, we would talk about which relationship this was, because I would want to know if I was having the reading myself. I'd want to hash it out. I'd say, you know what, it's happening with this particular person, and these are my challenges, and I want to know how I can, what tools can I use to be able to speak, to be able to fight the fear that comes up when we want to speak our truth? What kind of tools can I use to move beyond that fear and to completely speak my truth without any fear of, rejection, without any fear of, judging ourselves? Actually, that's what it is in the end, isn't it? Yes, the truth. With everyone, it comes with everyone who comes your way. That's how you want to be. That's integrity, isn't it? Because when we have that thought, I say this to myself too, Karina. I say, I want my thoughts, my words, and my actions to be in alignment. And then during the day, I kind of forget. I'll start off the day saying that that's what I want. But then during the day, it's easy to forget, well, hang on, are my thoughts and my words and my actions in alignment? But that's the goal, isn't it? That when you have this thought, if it's possible for you to say the truth with that thought and then to follow through with that action on that thought, oh, my Lord, I think that's living an authentic life, right? Living our best life in that way. And that's what we all want that for ourselves, right? Wonderful. Karina, thank you so much. Should we ask another question? Should we delve a little deeper? Do you want to? Because we've got time. We've got a few people watching. Let me know if you're here, anybody. If you want to make a reading, I've put the links in the description. I had a bit of trouble getting on earlier. I had some technical difficulties, so I posted about that. But these are the links if you wanted to make a payment, and we can. There we go. They're all there. georgiamarantos at Gmail for PayPal and Zelle, and then there's the link there for my credit card. And of course, I started off talking about my workshop, which is the Tarot Learn to Read Tarot online play shop. It'll be via Zoom. It'll be a one-day workshop from 10 to 4 p.m. We're going to break for 1 hour at 10 to 12 at 12 o'clock for 1 hour for lunch. Liz, hello. Hi. Oh, my Lord. It is so late where you are. Is it really like 11 p.m.? Thank you so much, Liz, for taking time out from your sleep time to be with us. Hi. Another giant. So here we have amazing healers and teachers. Everybody that's here is an amazing healer and teacher. An absolute giant. You're absolute giants. And I'm honored to be in this wonderful satsang with you, in a gathering of like minds. And I hope anyone who finds us on YouTube, who's strolling by, I hope you enter in here and feel the good vibrations. Karina, isn't that what your website is called? All About Good Vibrations. Karina, can you let people know what your website is? And I know that you, yes, all about good vibrations, all about vibrations. Karina, can we pick another one for you? Your spiritual path. Oh, look at that. This is Karina's spiritual path. So we have the Queen of Pentacles. Now, for those of us who have become mothers in life, right, and then we're also at the same time, finding ourselves on this spiritual path because we're asking the questions. Usually the questions start with why? Why is this happening? And then we come upon, people who are going to answer that for us in a very, very clear and direct way, as we have with our mutual teacher, Derek O'Neill. And so I do see that, this spiritual path in life goes through the Divine Mother. And, your role as mother in this lifetime has brought you through into the spiritual path. And that through that path, this is where we can give thanks to our families and give thanks to our children for taking us and being on the path with us, because without them, we wouldn't have this richness that you see that she's surrounded by. There's just so much abundance, so much creativity. You see the little rabbit in the corner, Karina, because I know you're doing the course with me. You're going to remember this now. That little rabbit, if I can disappear and the card can, there's the camera focused on the little rabbit. Can you see it there? So the rabbit represents, represents fertility. But also that sense that, if you concentrate and look at which areas of your life you want to multiply very quickly, because rabbits can multiply very quickly, right? And the sense that you can, with that which you love, right? Remember, we're mixing spirituality and family here, right? In that sense of how do we create a sense of family in spirituality? And how do we work with that abundance that comes from being, nurturing this part of ourselves? So nurturing the part of ourselves, which is as mother, as, bringing through the unconditional love that's truly nurturing, not the conditional love that's nurturing. We all learnt what that was through punishments and rewards, and we know that it's unconditional when we can do whatever we want. And I do feel that that's what spirituality is teaching you in abundance, right? Which is the rabbit. I think that's what's multiplying, to allow everyone in your family to be who they are, regardless of what it looks like to the ideal that we had in our own sort of mothering and motherhoods, the conditional mothering. And yes, we've created a beautiful family, a beautiful spiritual family, right? So the two go parallel. I think the way in which we relate to everybody in this SQ family parallels the way that we are able to embrace everybody in our own family. So one either happens or the other, or both are happening at the same time. Because once you let go and allow, that sense of allowing that happens in the nurturing that comes through the divine feminine. This is the divine feminine card. I feel she's the divine. She's representing the divine feminine. And if she was to, if she was to be represented by anybody, and there's that moonstone. This is a beautiful moonstone ring. If she's to be represented by anybody, she would be Linda O'Neill, right? Who could hold space horizontally, right? She'd be the horizontal for the vertical male. So the vertical male is the energy that is, very different, because one holds and nurtures and the other one uplifts, in both in very different ways. You're working on bringing in the feminine. Maria, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for buying a reading. That's wonderful. What does Spirit have to say to you today? Oh, wonderful. We're going to find out. And Karina, just before I leave this card, look at all the beautiful animals that are on her seat. Can you see there's a little baby angel on the back? And you have, isn't that interesting? They look like fruits. There are pears and apples in the back of her chair. So she's really representing this time, this fall, this harvest time, when everything's aplenty. You've got the roses up above her, and we've lost the clarity there. We'll see if we can focus in on her. If I move out of the way. Yeah. Oh, there. And you see she's got the beautiful feathers on her head and this gorgeous crown. And then she's got the animals. Now, she also has the Aries, so there's some fire in her. But look at also here, there's the cow. Now, we know that the cow or the bull, but the cow, it has a very holy, and it's held in such reverence in India. So again, I feel like we're going into India, and this connection with nature, this connection with abundance, and the connection with a lot of love coming of these roses that are coming over. They're really just embracing her. So yes, the divine feminine coming through and allowing, and that's what you're growing in abundance. Superb, Karina, superb. And very soon, Karina, we're all going to be getting readings from Karina. Right? I would love, what I would love? That everyone who comes on and does the workshop and the play shop, I should call it, that we all get a turn when we come on here. And I'd love to, maybe we could go live on Zoom one day. Look at this. I keep touching it so it keeps moving. This is what I spent like a few minutes before I came on. Look at this. It's Lord Yama. It looks like he's crowning my head. I don't think I should be making fun of Lord Yama, but it looks like a crown. Oh, Karina, you already know. So the one thing, and I think I've said this before, the one thing about the tarot, so I can help people understand the symbolism in the tarot, but simply because I've looked at the cards long enough and I've read the understandings, and but I'm not a tarot scholar. Like, I'm not someone who has studied the deep sort of, the Hermetic, the Judaic, the Kabbalah. All of that is in the tarot, and I haven't gone deep into that. What I've gone deep into is reading with people and then engaging with people in a way where we're using the tarot to draw out what's going on and figure out a path and a way through that. And so that's what I feel, and because it's really practical, because in my life, that's what I want from a tarot reading. That's what I want tarot to do for me. And so that's what I can do to, that's what I can teach when I'm actually doing it. So how can you use the symbolism in the tarot to help you, right? So in order to do a very deep study, and you'll be getting a registration email from me. So everyone who registers gets a registration email with the Zoom link, but also some extra information, so that if you really want to study the tarot deeply, there are some books that I recommend that really go into the alchemy and the hermeticism and the sort of occult science that was surrounded the tarot, and Arthur Waite, who designed these particular cards that we're reading, and how he reimagined them from the way they were designed in the sort of 16th century, being played as playing cards in France and Italy. And that's how they became, so that people who were highly intuitive would be able to read the cards as they fell. And then it just sort of, became this snowball effect. And the gypsies and the people at carnivals would be able to, the psychics basically, would be able to do readings. And then the two things got caught up where, those who have the capacity to see beyond what is in the physical would see things that were really grand and be able to predict future events. Now, that's how it got attached to tarot. But the truth is, nowadays, in this 21st century, and even in the 20th century, it is used as a psychological tool, a psychological insight tool. And that's how I use it, because I have a background in psychiatry. I'm not a practicing psychiatrist at the moment, but in my background, that's what I was interested in. And that's how I use it. And that's how I help myself and others. Natural channeler, yes. You're naturally channeling. So what you do is you take the physical aspect of the card, you open your channel, and you open your 5, 6 senses, inner senses, and you read the story, taking information from the inner senses at the same time, and you put the two together. Actually, you do 3 things. You ask the question. So you have the physical question in your mind. You look at the card to see how it answers that question, but then you draw on the intuitive information that you're receiving at the same time. And then you put that together in a way that's uplifting. And it just takes practice. Maria, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, Maria. Your question, your general, right? Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for your support. What are we going to bring through tonight? You know what we could do? Does anyone have a deck with them? We could play this game where someone asks a question that they know the answer to, and then we all pick a card and we see if we can intuit the answer through the card that we've picked. Do you want to play that game? We could do it. We've got time. So if there aren't too many questions coming after this, before we start talking about the Wheel of Fortune, we could play some tarot games. These are the kind of things that I want to be doing in the workshop that's coming back. And the good news is that I only have 8 seats, and 4 of them have already gone. And really, I only opened up registration this week. So I'm very, very happy that we've got 4 people. There's only 4 spots left. So if you're thinking about joining, please join. Please join, because I'm not going to take any more than 8 people. I want it to be a good quality experience for those who come in. So this is for Maria. Maria. Oh, I love this card. I love all the cards. But this is the number 19, the sun. And number 19, and this is the card of actually, let's look it up, because I thought Leo was the strength card. So I think Leo is also in this one, the sun. This is number 19. So 19, 1 and 9 equals, 10, which is a 1, which again kind of takes us back into the Wheel of Fortune. because the Wheel of Fortune is a 1. So we're in sync with the Knight and with the fact that we're talking about the Wheel of Fortune and a new beginning. So you are going into a new beginning, believe it or not. I don't know if when your birthday is, Maria, but this card feels like a whole new beginning. You're coming up out of the darkness, it feels like. And if not, if you haven't felt like that, then you can expect to feel like that, because this is a wonderful card. As long as you're riding the horse of purity, spirit, and truth, which is, within you, when you're tapping in and you're doing the work that connects you powerfully to source, but also connects you through understanding that what's coming out in front of you is both light and shadow, right? So once you connect in that way, then you've seen duality as it approaches you, and then you're connecting with the divine at the same time, and you're instantly detached. Look at this beautiful blanket that the naked child that's joyous is thrown off. The sun is shining, the sunflowers are pointing at the sun and enjoying themselves, and the baby's on the bear horse, and it's just a wonderful, joyous picture. And I really feel like this is what you're coming into, this sense of joy and enlightenment, and being able to meet duality as it approaches you, whether it's light, whether it's dark, and just seeing it all as joy. This is me, Georgia. Oh, Colleen, wonderful. Thank you so much for paying for a reading. Oh, definitely. You're next. Absolutely. That is me, Georgia. You mean this is me on the horse like a naked child? I suspect we were all little blonde kids when we were 4 or 5, but I remember having blonde hair and, people talking to me about my little Goldilocks. So, Maria, this is you coming in now. And you know what I love about these sunflower leaves? Look at these leaves. They're massive. I also think of the jungles in South America when I see this card, so that there's something also wild about you and wild about this freedom, because it doesn't it's not being tied down. I really feel there's a lot of freedom in this card. You're not going to be tied down anymore. You're not tied down to your shadow. You're not tied down to having to be the perfect person in the perfect moment. You can allow yourself to be whoever you are, warts and all, and it's okay. And if we give ourselves that freedom, then our children have that freedom instantly. If we can give that to ourselves, we can give that to the people around us. And if we can do this for the people in our group, in the groups that we gather, so let's say we can do that for each other in SQ, right? Or in other we have this spiritual group where we are together, but there are other groups that we revolve in, groups of friends and groups of relatives and groups of, if you can be free, meaning the same in every group, and allow each group of people that you meet to be free too, then there is just unlimited possibility of happiness in relationships in every way. It's in your life. You will give people that freedom too. I think you already do that. And it is wild. Remember, this kind of like abandon is a little bit wild too. So I don't think you're scared of that wildness, and you don't have to worry about it being judged. Right? This is the energy of the second chakra. This is the 6 of coins, where you've got someone who's saying, well, I have the power and you don't, and I'm going to give you money, if I feel like it, and I'm only going to give you 6 coins. Maria, I will join your play shop. Need more info. Is it on Facebook? Oh, Maria, let me put up the link. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So I'm just looking for the link now to my Learn to Read Tarot online play shop. Okay, so I'm going to add the link right there. Here we go. I've done it before where I left the page where the live is on, and I've completely lost the group. So there it is. That link should be live. I'm not going to click on it because last time I did that, I lost the live. But let me know if the link works. But essentially, if you go to my website, georgiamarantos.com, and the page comes up, it's the first, the blog. There's like a trail of blog posts, and it's the first blog post you see. It's Learn to Read Tarot Online, and yeah, it's $50 for the day. I think it's a really good deal for us. We'll be spending that time together. And so, Maria, what I wanted to say about this one is, this is the one where we get trapped in that sense of, victimhood, or, this is a very old dynamic. This isn't even our dynamic. It is literally a dynamic because we haven't come into our power over other generations. That's what our lineage does. It just hands over the same lineage. It hands over the lineage of less than, or it hands over the lineage of being at effect, not cause, meaning that we're always looking at what the world is doing to us as opposed to how we affect the world. And we know that when we're looking at we are the creators of our own experience, which is the self-empowered place to be moving from. When we give ourselves that opportunity to look at the world from that standpoint, from that viewpoint, none of those things that that create suffering in our world matter, ever. And it's not even that you need to do, you don't need to take on the responsibility and all the guilt of having created what you've created that's in front of you. You can just say, I've created it and here I am. And I'm moving forward in joy. And in my joy, as I move forward with this group of people that I live with intimately, or with these group of people that I know who are my friends, or these group of people who I know who are my family, I choose freedom. I choose joy. I no longer choose this, right? So I picked another card. So this is like, this is doing what I call combinations. And when you do combinations, you have to know why you're picking the other card. You can't just say, oh, here's one card and now I'm going to add this card and try to make sense out of it. The way I make it easy for myself when I'm reading is I pick this card. I've talked about it. I've told a story. And then I say, I want more detail about this card. And so what will tell me, this is duality. And you're doing away with duality here. This is the major trump. This is the major archetype that is completely free. And it's the archetype, remember, because the moon and the star are around it, right? So we have the moon at sort of 17 and the star at 18, or it might be the other way around, actually. So we have the star, which is all about healing, but it's all in the waters, and it's all sort of much, and the moon, which is the reflection. So here is the sun, which is the masculine energy, and the moon is the reflection of the sun. So there's a mirroring happening in the moon. And we've gone through all of that. We've gone through the tower and the devil, and we've come out the other side, and here's the sun. Here's the child in the sun. Saturn, Savitur is sun. I was on the second card. Yeah, the second card. I added an extra one. Yeah. And so, this is a very old dynamic that you see through. You're not any one of these people. You're the observer of this and how it happens in our life. And so when things approach you, you're looking at things not from the polarized view of black and white or light and dark. You're looking at it as, oh, this is what's playing out here right now. I've got my family who's just come back in. I'm going to close the door. Excuse me. As winter's coming, it's actually a little bit late, and the sun is setting, and I'm sort of asking them all to come and stay in rather than go outside because it's too late. Here we go. What's happened to my hairdo? It's all gone a bit flat. The whistling, so funny. So here we go. We've got the sun and we've got the 6 of coins. So in Gayatri, Savitur is sun. Gayatri Savitur. What is that, Maria? In Gayatri? Oh, Savitur Varanium. Thank you. So Maria is talking about a sacred mantra, a sacred bhajan. Actually, what would it be? It's a collection of 22 syllables, and it's called the Gayatri Mantra. Yeah, the Gayatri Mantra. And if you were to look at the collection of syllables, Maria is pulling out one, Savitur, which is the sun, right? Savitur Varanium. What's Varanium mean? Must be looking toward the sun, because I know that you, Maria, are waking up early before the sun rises or as the sun rises and chanting this mantra, very powerful mantra. And it is a mantra of freedom. It is a mantra of enlightenment. It is a mantra of seeing through that which is false, right? To be shown the truth of who we are. Wonderful. One more card, Maria, and then I'll come on to Colleen. Oh, such a great card. Talking about money and abundance. And this is the sister card to the Queen of Pentacles that we got for Karina. So Karina's card was the Queen of Pentacles, and she was surrounded by just lush beauty. And as is this woman, look at the grapes that are growing, the vines that are growing. She's holding a falcon. She's obviously a woman of leisure and a woman that doesn't need to work very hard and has accrued money over her life. She has a beautifully embroidered dress that's, and it's a cloak, which is like a dress. And so you can tell she's very wealthy, very abundant, and a very good looking, sort of well-to-do. And in this sense, do you see the balance with these two trees? They're almost identical. And in this, she creates balance. So there's a beauty and an appreciation of abundance in your life. And that's coming through very, very strongly because these two go together, don't they? And here, if we were to say, oh, I see the difficulty in creating abundance. This is the one that says, I see difficulty in creating an abundance. And this is the one that says, I see abundance all around me. I see abundance all around me. So you could go from the mindset of it's really hard to make money or I don't deserve money to money is my birthright and money is energy and money is all around me. And you can see how one basically creates more of the same and the other one creates more of the same. So which one do you want, right? And that's why this comes in to say when you're free and when you're in complete freedom of the duality that comes, you actually end up creating more abundance because you're in the flow of life and you're in the flow of source, which is abundant, naturally abundant. That's our natural state, is to be to have an abundant flow of energy through us and not be concerned about where the money goes and where it stays and how it gets gathered. Colleen. Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much for asking a question. I so appreciate it. You see abundance all around you. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Absolutely. And I know that you also see, the disparity between where abundance is and where it isn't. And that you're able to find that space of compassion for, that part of us that couldn't see abundance some time ago, right? And that part of other people where not being able to see abundance creates suffering. And so therefore you can hold space for people having been through experiences like that yourself. And I think that's why, looking at why do we have difficulties in our lives? Well, we have them so that we can be of service to others who are experiencing the same. And that's why it's really important to keep going. And keep desiring that which is good for ourselves, right? Because that's how we draw it to ourselves. Yes, abundance is not just money. Yes, it's energy. Abundance in energy and nature. There's just simple, exquisite abundance in nature. So, Colleen, thank you so much for letting me know you paid for a reading. So wonderful. I have several books that I work from just on a regular basis. And these are very simple, easy to read books. And I'll let you know. I think I've talked about them before. It's Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom. Now, if you're going to come to the workshop, you really don't need to buy this book. We're just going to run through, the way that I talk about the cards on the show, for example, in the same way. Rachel Pollack is her name. But she goes through every card, she talks about the journey. She does the major arcana. She does the minor arcana. And then she does some spreads. She really doesn't overdo anything. And she talks a little bit about the Kabbalah, which is great. And most of the books that I've recommended, they do go into I've never done it. I've never really gone in to understand with more depth in the Kabbalah, the mysticism, because I haven't had the time recently. But I find that with everything that I understand about the tarot, I want to take a very practical view. So if it will help me help someone else, then I'll do it. And so at the moment, I think I need to just scroll through some of these incredibly powerful YouTube videos that people have on where they explain the Kabbalah and its relationship with the tarot. And then I can look at that. So this card popped out. So, Colleen, I'm going to say this is not the first. This is the card that popped out. So we're going to talk about the cards that pop out. There are many ways to shuffle. I was just shuffling the cards, and this is the one card that's popped out. So I believe there's change coming in your life, big change. Don't be afraid of it. And you see in this tiny little space, there's a ship coming in the back, coming in that river. And I believe that the ships are messengers, and there's actually some news coming that will kind of let you know of, oh, this is the change that's happening, right? And again, where I'm focusing on is none of this is making any sense. Like I'm looking at it, but it's not making sense. So I have to trust my intuition. And what's making sense are these two, this gateway that's going out into the bright light. So there's change coming for you, which is great. So let's have a look. What is it? I'm sure you already know. Here we go. A big sea of change. Oh, spiritual change. I know you're a very spiritual person. So here you have the hermit, who is the seeker, Seeker. And the seeker is the one who takes the lamp and makes the journey. So this person's not in rags, but is wearing clothes that he's obviously worn for a long time. And we've talked about the hermit last week. And he's the one that once he reaches the top of the mountain, he ends up being the one other people follow because he's the light bearer. He's the one holding the light in the darkness, helping people move along their path. So he holds several archetypes. He can be the teacher. He can be the sort of individual seeker. So he can represent you as the seeker. So I would put these two together, these whopping major arcana cards together. And I would say, Colleen, that what you are going through is a major spiritual awakening, right? That the old you is changing significantly, right? And I think COVID has really pushed people to move further and deeper into their spirituality. Certainly has happened for me over this time. I mean, I've just been meditating more and been connecting with source and connecting with my silent, peaceful inside, my the inner calm more. So I know that this is for you a time where you're coming into your spirituality, you're coming into your spiritual path, you're coming into your own mastery, your own wisdom. And let's see how this is affecting your life. Wow. So here around you, you've got three major arcana. Okay, we've all got to take our hat off to Colleen, because when you get three major arcana, it means that the influence of the cards it goes deep, and it's been happening over several months, or will be happening over several months. So it's something that you're going to be moving through, because you're kind of up leveling. You're going to go up in you're going to be enlightening yourself. And why does the devil come up? So the devil comes up in addiction. Devil comes up in fear, obsessions. Devil comes up in ego, kind of the things that we become over obsessed about. It can be kind of, sexual sadism or something, but it's not that here, because what we're getting is because I asked the question. Remember, I said, if you're going to pick an extra card, here we go again. If we're going to pick an extra card, you're going to be. So we said, what's that going to look like? Where is the change coming? And the change is coming here, right? The change is coming here. That these chains are going to come off because they're loose anyway. And so expect this change to come around. Whatever has been keeping you bonded, right, won't bind you anymore. I really feel that there's a sense of freedom and change happening around that. And it's like you're moving through that period and you're going to come out the other side. Let's have a look at how long that will last. Not even a month. Good Lord. I think it's really close. I think let's have a look. 1 week. Oh my Lord. Very soon. So I just did a timing spread where I picked a card for each time slot. So I asked her, how long is it going to take you to move through and letting go? It's not going to take very long. In fact, you're almost ready to let go right now of that which binds you, that keeps you bound, that keeps you in a bind. So this was the 1 month. And I thought, oh, well, you're already celebrating it 1 month. That means that the change has happened earlier. So I chose a card for 1 week. And even in a week. So, Colleen, this is really good news that this change that the death card was talking about, right, is actually coming very soon, right? Because you're building up momentum and power in your spiritual energy, right? I'm going to pick one more. There it is. So healing is afoot. Healing. 4 major arcana cards. All right. I would say, Colleen, if we hadn't have had a reading recently, I would be saying to you, book in for a reading so we can make sense of all of these major arcana. Because they're archetypes together. I mean, don't we know that there's healing happening? So this healing is, oh, good. I wanted to make sure I was still live. Sometimes things happen and I don't know. I just got a text, so excuse me. So this is the card for healing, which is the number 18 card. So remember earlier we were talking about the sun, which was the number 19 card. And this is number 18. So this is the trump just before the sun. And this is when all the healing happens, right? Because before that you have the moon and the tower and all this kind of major destruction and upheaval. But this star card is telling us that we're balancing our emotions. We're grounding our emotions and we're kind of getting rid of anything that doesn't serve us. You don't need to hold on to anything that's not yours, or you don't need to hold on to any hurt or any disappointment or any suffering, because it's not your suffering, actually. And so if you take that away from you, then you have this sense of, moving through. You're no longer attached to it. You remove the attachment here. This is the card for removing attachments, because he's the one that has become enlightened. He's reached the top of the mountain. And at that place, you are detached. She says, thanks, my dear. I get it. Not really surprising. Love the validation. And the 4 cards, right? Wonderful. So super happy for you, Colleen. Big, big, big thing that you're moving through. It's like it's like the Titanic's moving in. It's not just a little boat, where we said there was, where we said we saw a little boat in the river, right? This tiny little boat. And we're going to be talking about things like this in the workshop. I'll probably be talking a lot, but in terms of the symbolism that's in each card. There's a little snail here. So the energy of the death card is that it can move very slowly. But in reality, you've already been through this transformation and change, and it has felt slow. But this boat that's come in, it feels like it's not a tiny boat, it's a Titanic, because it's a really big change that's coming through. And as you're moving through it. Wonderful. So, friends, I'm going to start talking about the Wheel of Fortune. And just before I do, I want to remind everyone that 30% of all the proceeds tonight go to Rainforest Flow. This is the second last Saturday where we are sending money off to that wonderful not-for-profit that is headed by Nancy Santullo. And I'm super excited to be able to share her good work. And the other news, of course, is around if you want a personal reading, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, Just today, I think I did a reading for 90 minutes where we actually set out to do just a regular tarot reading, and I said, well, we don't have to pay beforehand because it's not really clear what you need, whether you want to go for half an hour, or 90 minutes. If you know that you want a good hour and you know that there's something that you want to work on, then we'll just book straight in for a 60. But today we ended up spending 90 minutes. And what I love to do is when we find something, when we find a limiting thought or belief, and we can use some of the neurolinguistic programming tools where we can have a look at the substrate and the subconscious and what's keeping all those beliefs that are not true active in our aura and creating this kind of resistance in preventing us from getting what we want, or for us receiving what we want, right? Because it's a different way to get on to receive. They're two very different words. And what we want to do is we want to be in the receiving mode, because it's receiving is allowing, whereas getting talks about effort, or it implies effort. And when we're putting in this effort, then it creates resistance. And for the 4 cards, so grateful. Thank you so much. I'm going to pull out the Wheel of Fortune, and we're going to talk about the Wheel of Fortune. Such a massive card. I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to talk about it for that long. There's just so much in it. I'll tell you why. I see, and I know that when Arthur Waite created this deck, in the Wheel of Fortune, he put there's Christian, Judaic symbols. You know, you've got rota. So I'm going to show it to you now. And if you have it, have a look at this card. This is the Wheel of Fortune. Now, it can represent money. It always represents change. And there's movement in this card because there's a wheel. So wherever there's movement. So if you're asking a question about moving or traveling, or, you know, this is card that comes in as a validation. If you're asking about money, or if it falls down in the, you know, where I did the general reading and it falls down in the wealth section, well, you know, there's change around money. So this card is a card of change. It's a card of very high spiritual connection, because what you've got in each corner is you've got this incredible, beautiful phoenix so these are the higher divine guides. You have the angel and the phoenix, or the eagle, right? And the eagle is the spiritual messenger, right? And then you have the ox and the lion. Now, the ox and the lion represent the earth animals. And so these are the earth, your earth messengers. These are the divine messengers, and these are the earth messengers. But these 4 symbols were used in Christianity. And if you go to Trinity College in Dublin and you have a look at the Book of Kells, these 4 have been illustrated in the Book of Kells, because it was Jesus's journey. Let me just get to it here. Let me see if I can find it. I'm just going to find it. This was when, so these represent the 4 stages of Jesus's life, right? So this is obviously when he ascended. This is when he was connecting with spirit, and the lion was of courage, and the calf, or, you know, I'm going to call it a cow, but this animal represented him in his youth, right? So he went from his youth to as he matured and became a teacher, to as he ascended and then became this angel, right? So these are the 4 stages of the life of Jesus. And then here in the wheel, you have Rota, ROTA, and these are the symbols. So I'm going to come out with that, because this is something I always need to refer to my books for. There we go. The Hierophant and the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, we've already hit the devil. There we go. So the number 10, which we talked about, which is completion and evolution and coming back to the next cycle with the beginning of 1. And so this astrological correspondence is Jupiter. Let me talk to you about Jupiter. Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system and is said to expand whatever area of your astrology chart it touches. Jupiter is traditionally associated with luck, expansion, positivity, travel, adventure, higher learning, philosophy, happiness, and a positive outlook. It is the ruler of Sagittarius and the traditional ruler of Pisces before Neptune was discovered. And so this is the wheel of fate and the wheel of change. And why does it come here? Because if you think about it as fate and change, remember, we create our own destiny. And that's what the Tibetan wheel of life teaches us. We create our own destiny. So if we allow greed, ego, ignorance, and desire to entrap us, then we end up creating more suffering and we go down the wheel. But if we free ourselves from greed, desire, and having too many attachments, then we go up the wheel, and then we have a better life, and we have a life, our next life is up into the God realms. But if we don't, again, we go into the hell realms, or we go into the ghost realms if we're lost and we're not sort of doing any spiritual work on ourselves. So you can see that there. So let me go, and these symbols in the middle are alchemical symbols, right? And they represent like sulfur and all the symbols of alchemy. And I'm going to tell you what they are right now. Rota. These are Hebrew letters, and these letters are the letters of God. Actually, Karina, you could tell us here. Maria, thank you for that validation. Wonderful. So here you can see Rota, R-O-T-A, right? Or Torah, T-O-R-A, right? So Rota is the wheel, and Torah is the Jewish Bible. And here, these are the symbols of God. So, we're on this wheel, and also these intersecting lines, and again, this alchemical symbol. I just need to find where I put the information. I'm so sorry about that. I'll find it in a minute. Hang on. One more book. Yeah, let's see if this big book of the Hangman, Justice. I should have been more prepared. Here we go. The Four Creatures. No, this doesn't have it either. I'm so sorry. The alchemical symbols. I'm going to come back to you all. Isn't that interesting? So I actually left the alchemical symbols somewhere, and I don't have them here. Oh, the Hermit and the Wheel of Fortune with the alchemical symbols. Here it is. I found it. In the east is sulfur, northeast, right? In the west is salt, that's salt. And in the south is water. I thought that was water, right? So isn't that the Scorpio sign? Actually, I'm not sure about the astrological signs, but this is Mercury, sulfur, water, and salt. And it was believed that, combining these metal or these alchemical substances would create change. And of course, these are like scientific experiments, but this represents the capacity for the soul to combine experiences and create a different outcome for oneself. And that's why the snake is going down, because the snake is connecting us to the Garden of Eden and Eve eating the apple, which, brought everybody and the whole of heaven down. And you've got here this Egyptian god that rules the underworld, right? Is it Hathor? And let me see. Yeah. So the Sphinx is connecting us to the spirit realms and keeping us enlightened, because it is holding the sword of truth. And this is the one that's guarding us in the hell realms, right? So you've got two. We're going down into the hell if we're looking at our actions. So depending on our actions and our thoughts and our speech, we're creating hell realms, or we're creating heaven realms, right? And so this is moving in, and it looks very much like there's a snake here. There's a snake, there's a rooster or a cock and a pig, right? They're representing greed. So there's so much put into this, but there's one more thing I want to talk about. There's also the game of roulette, right? And chance and luck. And so, this could also represent gambling on a sort of lighter note, where you've got, how are you dealing with your life? Are you thinking about what you're doing consciously, or are you just unconsciously doing things with, and just letting this sort of roulette wheel of life take you wherever it wants you to go? And that's why we have to take the reins of our lives in our own hands. And if we're going to take them, then place them in God's hands, so that we now consciously know that God is riding the chariot. And remember the chariot that was number 7, right? And we know that if God is driving the chariot and we're consciously allowing the divine will over our own will, then we're going to create more that's, more divine experiences for ourselves, as opposed to the shadow experiences for ourselves. And that's the depth of this card. It really is quite deep. Hi, Arena. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. So we're just talking about the Wheel of Fortune, which is such a rich card. Does anyone have any questions? Because we've got some time here today. If nobody has any other questions, meaning, does anyone have a question, not necessarily for the tarot or to do a reading, but do you have any questions about the Wheel of Fortune, the card? So when you do combinations, let me show you what it's like. So if you're doing a reading and the Wheel of Fortune turns up and there are lots of coins around it, look at that. Because it looks like a coin, it's going to be, oh, wow. So there's a lot of change. So you can see that someone who's working hard is going to create something better for themselves. They're going to go up the wheel, and they're going to create, if you're working hard in your life to create balance, which is what these pentacles are, where they're symbolizing the 5 elements. There are only 4 elements here, right? The sulfur, the mercury, the salt, and the water. But here we've got the, earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And so here this person is creating balance. And you can imagine that this is the Kundalini. Arena, I imagine that you're doing this, right? And as you work, you're connecting spiritually with through the elementals, through source. You're connecting with source. And so that was because your energy came through. And I know that you work hard in the work that you do. So Arena, tell us about your website and the beautiful aromatherapy that you do. Just post us a link to your Instagram so that we can see who you are, what you do. More people need to get your magical potions and perfumes in their life. So what else? How else can it work? So if you were to get let's say, all right. So this would be struggle around, understanding. So this would be kind of like, okay, if I was to see where am I on this wheel, how am I connecting, where we would say, well, you're having trouble connecting. Maybe because what's happening in your 3D or your 3D physical world is so distracting. There's difficulties happening that you're constantly needing to catch these wands as they're falling. See how I'm telling a story about this? That's all you need to do. So when you're reading the cards, you're literally just telling a story. Yeah, tell us what your website is, Arena, so we can go have a look at your stuff. And so all I'm doing is taking the card and pooling together information from both of them to create deeper meaning for this one and for this one, right? So you can do that. If you know how to tell a story, you can do that. So what if we were to put the Wheel of Fortune and the Lovers together? I mean, look at this incredible angel that's there, and we have the angelic realm. So we're now being pushed into, remember we talked about the snake and the Garden of Eden, and look at the snake that's here. So we know that this is representing the Kundalini energy with this woman. And look at her. She's looking up at the angel. So she's concerned and she's spending time connecting with the divine so that her Kundalini energy can awaken, right? And what's Adam doing? He's looking at Eve, right? So he's got fire on his tree, and he's looking at, there are desires. So this card can mean, lovers. So the two cards together could mean, oh, here is Eve having this spiritual awakening, and that's changing her whole life and her whole experience. Or it could be, oh, Adam is here and he's kind of like, stuck in desire, and it's not necessarily Eve's desire for the apple because she hasn't even eaten it. It's not even in her hands here. But what we've got, Adam looking at Eve, and there's fire on his tree. And so where's he going? Is he going into the hell realms? Is Eve going into the heaven realms? Can that change quickly on a dime, right? Is she giving him the poisoned apple? It's just so wonderful. So when you're relating it to somebody in their life, then you're picking up on the energy vibration, and you can feel whether they're going up or down because it's an energy that you're tapping into, right? Let's have a little bit more in the wheel, a little bit more juice. So let's have a look at the numerology of 1, right? And this is the numerology, because when we study on Saturday, November 14th, this is the Learn to Read Tarot online play shop. Really well priced at $50 for the day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be doing a little bit of numerology. So we're going to actually go through the numbers 1 to 9 because they're the numbers that you cycle through. It doesn't matter how big. So if there are 78 cards, each card has a number in the tarot deck, and it always gets reduced down to a single number so that each card has a number vibration in addition to the symbolic vibration, right? So here we go, 9, and here we go, 10. All right. 10 is a temporary vibration. So this is about intuition, fortune, and luck. Now, how do we know fortune? Thinking of fortune cookies now. So you could actually even associate fortune cookies with the Wheel of Fortune. A turn for the better, right? What you have been waiting for now may soon be yours. The culmination of a series of events brings success and material accomplishment, right? This can be material success. What a great card. You could call this cycle a turn for the better, the start of something new. The innovative ideas and fresh beginnings you're experiencing now are a real expression of the law of cause and effect. And that's what this is. I haven't spoken about karma, but this really is about cause and effect, right? And if your thoughts are moving downwards, then that's the cause of the effect that you experience. You're in the hell realms. And if your thoughts and speech, your actions are moving you upwards into the more heavenly realms, then you're seeing that as an outcome. Cause and effect, right? Events that appear accidental or mere chance result from efforts you have already expended. So this is karma, right? And so you can talk about this card as a very karmic card, as you can with the Justice card, because we will be talking about justice very soon. This is Lady Justice. I'm going to find her, talk about her. Anybody have any questions? We can take one more question just for fun. Look at that. We've got another 20 minutes, 18 minutes. Let's have a look. Where's Lady Justice? So what happens if you get the Wheel of Fortune and Lady Justice is that the two things amplify themselves. So you really have to talk about cause and effect. You can't ignore it at that point. You have to say, so what am I doing in my life that's creating, either drama or suffering for myself? And now that we're here, actually, if we all pick a number between 1 and 10, I'm giving away a 30-minute reading. So if anyone's had one and you'd like to just share a few words, or if you want to leave a review on my Facebook page, that'd be awesome. You just go to @georgiamarantos3 on Facebook, and you can click reviews on my page, and that would be awesome. Now I can't find it. So Lady Justice is the one who sits on her throne. She's obviously representing the law and the justice system. And clearly there's a judgment being made. And this is a judgment happening in the 3 dimension, right? And so what we want is we want to understand how our actions and the consequences of those actions are playing out in our life. And we want to be able to take control. So once we understand how the wheel turns and which way we're headed, then we can say, oh, hold on, I don't want to be headed in that direction. I've got the consequences here with the judgment card. I don't ever want that to happen again. So I'm going to change my thoughts, words, and actions. I'm going to come more into alignment with what it is that I want to achieve in my life. And the highest alignment is aligning oneself with divine will, surrendering to the divine in one's life, surrendering to the divine will in one's life. There's a book that I've been recommending kind of nonstop. It's called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Brinkley. I think that's his name. Look up The Surrender Experiment on Amazon, and it's extraordinary. I can't find it now. But let's have a look at these two together. See how there's a similarity here again, because you've got this is where these 4 stages of Jesus's life has come back again. Here it is. And I suppose it's interesting because there's the eagle, there's the angel, there's the angel. Here's the lion, there's the lion, and here's the bull, right? And there's the bull. It looks a lot younger here, doesn't it? They're a bit smaller, but these are the faces. So this is the 21 trump. This is the kind of the last card of the whole row of them, and this is shows you the success. You know, the soul has come into full understanding of oneself. It's come through. It's become enlightened. It's come into knowing that this is its purpose in life. It understands who it is beyond the 3-dimensional, and at this point, right, which is halfway, because you've got 10 and this is 21. At this point, what you've got is we're only just beginning to learn about it. So this one comes first, where the soul is just beginning to understand, cause and effect and luck and prosperity. So how does one become lucky? Well, one creates lucky. One creates lucky by moving up, by doing more good deeds, not just for the self, but for others, right? And that's how, by doing that, you're telling the world, well, I want these good deeds, and I want to be in the vibration of good deeds. And if I'm in the vibration of good deeds, then good deeds will come to me. The vibration of good deeds will come to me, because we are living in a world that is based on, it is very magnetic. It's electrical. And if our electrical vibration is in tune with stress, then we will create stress. In tune with calm, as grounding with the earth and grounding with trees and nature, then you will get more calm, right? So that's what we're doing. So this is how we're creating. And here she's creating the same thing. This is like the world and her having come through into successfully understanding how this wheel works and how this wheel of life works and how to be successful in this wheel of life. Understanding the ground and the divine and how to balance those. Anyone have a question? Oh, here we go. So my number was 6. Karina, you've come in at 5. Congratulations, Karina. Karina has won tonight a 30-minute reading. You can keep it for a rainy day. Organize one this week. You just let me know, and we can be in touch anytime. I love the clapping hands. So this book, I was reading from the Numerology and the Divine Triangle. Fantastic. So the Wheel of Fortune is literally the symbol that is it begins a new cycle. It's about rotation and cycles. That's another thing I didn't mention. Another really important word for this Wheel of Fortune is about cycles. And I know if you've listened to any of Derek O'Neill's consciousness calls for calm, he talks about COVID and the cycle that we're in, where we've created the need for COVID to arrive, this pandemic. And we've been in pandemics before. We were in one 100 years ago, right? In 2018 with the pandemic, the Spanish flu. So number 10 begins a new cycle. It's the number 1. It's a repetition of 1. And change is the only constant. I think this is the mantra for this card. Change is the only constant. Therefore, you never suffer from material deprivation. If you maintain the mantra, change is the only constant, you will never suffer material deprivation. because you're not attached to anything. You're not creating resistance to anything. You're just allowing this money, this energy to move through you. The bull, the lion, the eagle, and the man represent the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. This is interesting. Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. The books that they hold represent the wisdom of the ages. Oh, that's one thing that I didn't mention. Yes, they're holding the knowledge, the understanding. And the serpent symbolizes the descent of the life force into manifestation. The jackal, oh, that's a jackal, right? Anubis. No, an Egyptian god, Thoth, Thoth. I couldn't remember which Egyptian god it was, and I'm so sorry about that, but it's the Egyptian god Thoth, Thoth. It has the jackal-headed man. His ears, that's right, he has the head of a jackal and the body of a human, and the animal head indicate that the man has not evolved to the intellectual level. So he's got it's an animal brain. Oh, that explains so much, doesn't it? So that's why this one remains underneath here, because it's like it represents the pig in the Tibetan wheel of life, where one is just doing one's they're all animals in the central wheel of the Tibetan life, and that's the animal nature, and that's what that's representing. Right? Wonderful. Yes, the Sphinx is basically the one that we a divine that we want to aspire to, and this represents Jupiter. The whole card, we talked about Jupiter and Mars, so I think we've squeezed as much as we can out of that one. Shall I pick one card? Super, Karina! Yay! Shall we pick one card for the closing? Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Thank you so much for buying a reading, for all of those who did. And I know everyone here has bought a reading in the past. So thank you so much for contributing and supporting here. I'm going to pick one card as a goodbye for the night. And if you know anybody who wants to study the tarot with me, just send them along my email. If you're not on my email list, go to georgiamarantos.com/contact, and you can fill in my message contact, and it gives you the option to click yes to subscribing to my email, and that will put you right up into the email list. And I think you get a free 15-minute reading with me, which I'm offering to everyone who subscribes. So if you know anybody who'd really love to do the tarot workshop, send them my email, let them know, because I think it's a great beginner's class. It's also a great class for those who have been reading for some time and just want to practice, or want a different sort of view or understanding of the tarot, or just want to review everything in one go, right? Because we're going to do that in the morning. I'm super excited to do that. Here we go. On closing, this is the card for closing, the moon. We talked about the sun. We had to talk about the moon. So the moon is the divine feminine energies, the reflection of the sun. So we're not being burnt by the sun, but we're still getting that glimmer, that silver light. And why do we want to have the silver light? Why? Because there's a lot of information that comes in the reflection. We can actually look at the moon without getting burnt. So if we look into the sun, our eyes will be damaged. But if we look into the moon, we can see so much more. And so that's why you have this water, and why you have looking into the reflection of the water to see more of yourself. So this is all about illusion and seeing past the veil of, the veil of what we think is real, and moving through into what we know is real. And see, here are those 2 pillars that we saw back in the death card. Remember, Colleen, we were looking at those pillars, and there was a big sort of glowing crown and sun. And so this is when you've come so close to these pillars, you're at the end of that really tough roadway, right? Because the moon is number number 18, and the moon comes after the tower, after the devil, after all these really difficult cards, and you're just dragging yourself out of the water. But what you're doing is you're looking for more information. Linda, thank you so much. Oh, I love those emojis. Thank you. So this is the last sort of message of the evening, talking about let's move through the illusion. I'm certainly working on this in my life. Where am I sort of putting up false veils, in front of myself? Am I not looking at what's really here? Can I look deeper to see what the truth is? And that's what the moon does. And then following that, you have the star who comes to heal in the water, right? The moon and the star are close together. Oh, I'm excited for the class too, Irina. Yay. Thank you so much. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Good night. Wonderful, wonderful weekend. Have a great time. Thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye.